Shalom, Israel. Welcome back to another edition of SOT, Sword of Truth Ministries. I am your brother Eliashai.
I'm Yathia.
And I'll be coming for Sham Shawan today, and more than likely, Dawiyat on Friday as well. I won't do multiple parts for this class. For those that saw in August, we did part 1 of this series. It was Gentiles A. And just to give a sum of what that was about, it was essentially explaining how in the New Testament, when you start seeing the theme and the word Gentile used, you got to understand there's 2 definitions to it. The first one definition could be the fact that Gentiles were heathens. They were nations not given the law, and I'm going to explain that further with the definition. Someone gave me Gentile in 1828. But we'll explain the definition of what Gentile was. Yeah, 1 second. And the other definition is going to explain how we became Gentiles through our assimilation of the nations. And that was one of the curses the Most High was going to put on us if we didn't follow His laws, statutes, commandments, if we didn't keep His original covenant. But before we get into that, again, shout out to SOW, Shema Wisdom, Rochester, brothers out there doing a great job. SOW Houston and SOW Virginia. Shout out to the associated camps. Other Israelites fighting the work. Shout out Cabo Cobb, of course, camp founder, and his congregation out there. They're doing great works continuously. I'm Yatzah in London. And other brothers in LA as well. LA.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Atlanta too. Yes, Atlanta. You're right. So shout out to you all for watching our classes, the water for listening, tuning in. Again, if there's questions, don't hesitate to ask. Raise your hand. We're all for it. With that being said, let's get that Gentiles A. Gentiles definition. So again, we're going to reiterate it. This class, or this part, is about the Israelites being in a Gentile state of mind due to their captivities, due to the numerous brainwashings that comes with associating with the nations. And that was all a curse that was given to us, and it was told was going to happen to us. We're going to explain the starting point, the cause, and the effect, and how do we get out of it. That's essentially the sequence we're going to go into. So give me that Gentile definition.
Gentile, 1828, Webster Dictionary. Any person, not a Jew.
So the first part of Gentiles, and actually, before I sit down, I'm gonna have Amiyati read this because I have it structured a certain way. So one of the definitions of being a Gentile, according to the scriptures, is any person that's not a Jew, an Israelite. Any person that was not born with the bloodline of being an Israelite. All right, that's the obvious one. Read the second and third.
So, any person, not a Jew, Israelite.
Okay.
The Hebrews concluded that all tribes of men who had not received the true faith and were not circumcised.
So the second part is important. Because although we understand that the nations never received the true faith, which is why they weren't circumcised, this also came to play with us being assimilated from the very beginning, since the first fall in 1722, all the way up until now, where we no longer were operating in our true faith. We have mixed and mingled faiths, mixed and mingled concepts, because we've been through so many kingdoms and captivities. All right. So the second definition is the Hebrews, and this is coming from a viewpoint of Israelites that were born in Israel, even after all the falls. We're looking at more pre-70 AD Roman Empire time, or post-Grecian during Roman Empire, when we still had some level of occupation in Israel. We still had some level of following the laws. So Israelites during that time, during the New Testament, during Paul's time, Christ's time, Peter, etc., were concluding that if you were born outside of Israel, outside of the customs, outside of the faith, outside of the knowledge of Christ, no, not Christ's law, outside of the knowledge of Moses' law, the Mosaic law, you were to be deemed as a Gentile. All right, that's important to know. So we start seeing these words popped up because it's primarily getting popped up. It's going to primarily show in the New Testament. So that's where it's coming from. If you were born outside of Israel, you were considered Gentile. But context is very important. Context is very important. So keep reading. Third definition.
It says a worshiper of false gods.
Now, the last definition is a worshiper of false gods, and that can encompass all 3 of those, or all 2 of those previous definitions, or it could be that you can now become a Gentile with your changing or your converting a belief system. All right. So those are the 3 definitions. I hope you wrote them down. keep it in mind when we go through these verses. When you see that word pop up, we're looking for context, who is being talked about, and what context is that word being used in. And also, understand that this particular class is going to show how a lot of the cases when you see the word Gentile is referring to us in that state of mind, in that lost or confused state of mind. So, let's get to the scriptures. Let's start with a little intro. Deuteronomy 32, verse 8 through 9.
Come.
These are fundamental scriptures. We got to have this understand where everything started, how the Most High originally intended our way of living, our lifestyle, our sovereignty to be. So Deuteronomy 32 and verse 8 through 9. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I can slow it down.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8 reads, when the Most High divided to the nations.
So, in the beginning, when the Most High was setting up everything, when he was setting up who was going to be in what place, who was going to have what authority, who was going to have what king, what ruler, he had divided the nations. It was the Most High's intention in the beginning to create segregation. That's a no-no word now. That's a no-no word. That's a taboo, segregation. A taboo to not want to intermingle. A taboo to not want to mix and mingle. What he's saying is God, the creator of the world, did not originally want all nations, all cultures, all belief systems to be in one hodgepodge place, or one state, one country. All right, read on.
Come. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance.
Yep.
When he separated.
When he did what?
When he separated.
Who did he separate?
The sons of Adam.
So the sons of Adam were separated from the very beginning. Their borders, their inheritance, meaning what they got, what power they had, what riches they would have, what sovereignty would have, was already divided and separated from the very beginning. All right? Keep reading.
Come. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
So we're also finding out that the borders or the land masses were created after Israel was established. So the Most High had chosen what ample land or fertile land that he wanted his chosen people to have before he gave everybody else their piece of the pot.
He set the perimeters.
He set the perimeters. He set the boundaries. He gave Israel their first gift, their first landmass. All right? Read on.
Come, verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
So in the beginning, who did the Lord choose to have him serve him? Have them serve him?
Israel.
It was Israel. From the beginning, Israel was the Lord's portion. From the beginning, the Most High wanted a special relationship with the Israelites. And that was very important. That's what we highlighted last class, because we had to show we had a very special opportunity. And the opportunity came in what way? Give me Psalms 147 and verse 19. Psalms 147 and verse 19 through 20.
Psalms 147 and verse 19.
All right. Give me that.
Psalms 147 verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob.
So not only did he give us a land, he gave us the structure, he gave us the wealth. What also came with the inheritance was the idea, the moral code, and the system of how to control and how to operate in this landmass. So he didn't leave us clueless. He didn't leave us hopeless. He didn't leave us systemless. He didn't leave us governmentless. He gave us everything that we might have needed, understanding-wise, to perfectly operate this landmass. Read on.
He showeth his word unto Jacob.
Yep.
His statutes and his judgments.
He gave us his statutes. He gave us the way to live, the code to live, and the judgments, which is the consequence for not living by that code. So now you know, if I'm getting stung, if my crops aren't growing, if my animals are getting sick, they're getting plagued with sickness, if the natural disaster happening to my property or my landmass or my city specifically, I now know why. I'm not left clueless. I'm not left hopeless. I'm not left with the idea that I got to find some other spiritual source to give me clarity. Because without clarity, what do most people resort to? Distractions and idol worship. Distractions and idol worship. Vanity and idol worship. If I don't know what's going on in my life, if I don't have a direction in my life, I end up what? Hopeless. We're going to go into that later. I end up hopeless. You know what? Now it's just anything can happen. Now life is just about chance. It can be good tomorrow, it can be bad. Who cares about anything? Nothing is guaranteed. You leave people hopeless when you have no direction. No understanding on why. But the Most High didn't leave us that way. He gave us the statutes, the rules and regulations, and the consequence for not following those rules. All right, read on.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation.
So the rest of the world got the same equal opportunity to function and operate their lands. I'm asking. Did they? Did the rest of the world get the same equal and opportunity to serve, or not to serve, my fault, to operate, to govern, to live in their lands according to the Lord's moral code? No, they weren't. They weren't given the same equal and opportunity because they weren't given the word, the statutes, and the judgments. You weren't given the rule book and the consequences for not following that rule book. So now you're making mistakes. Remember back when we got taken out in 722 and the Assyrians sent those Hamites and mixed nations in our land, the northern kingdom, to operate. What happened to those nations?
They got persecuted.
How? Yeah, lions set on them. Because I said lions and took out the people that replaced our northern tribes.
They didn't know how to cultivate.
Because there was rules in our land.
Right.
There was rules and regulations on that land specifically. And if you didn't follow those rules and regulations, you're getting sent with bees, you're getting sent with lions, you're getting sent with hemorrhoids. Remember all the different places that was happening in Israel
The Canaanites,
in different time periods. Most I was stinging the nations in different time periods because they didn't know the system. They couldn't crack the code. But the Most High had intended it from the very beginning, which goes to show what level of love and concern He has for His people. So He gave us the statutes and judgments, and He had not dealt so with any other nation, which means the Most High, when He said He separated us, He also created a superior and an inferior people. That's important to know. It's important to know because if we're superior, that means everything that we're supposed to do is supposed to operate at a higher level and frequency. Our way of thinking, our way of living, our way of communicating, our way of operating socially and morally was supposed to be at a higher level, a higher standard. And if we didn't meet that standard, He had a problem with it. Keep reading.
He have not dealt so with any nation. And as for His judgments, they have not known them.
So I'm just living life, and I'm getting stung, and my life is falling apart, and there's famines in my land, and there's wars in my land, and there's destruction. I don't know why it's happening. That was the life that the Gentiles had to live. Why do you think they were so fascinated with people like Solomon? Solomon, you're always winning. You got your kingdom together. There's always peace in your land. How did you get to this point? What wisdom do you think they were seeking? How do I get close with the Most High? So I don't get my land stunk, so I can get blessed, so I can increase my riches, so I can increase my power, my sovereignty. You're going to go for the best example. And when we were at our peak, we were the best example. We were that seed in the hill. And we could have been that if we kept with the pattern of righteousness. But
it's like that there's a saying that says, people with no rules got nothing to lose.
okay.
People with rules got everything to lose. And you
You
see it
don't
through
know
the
about
scriptures. So we're on top, we had it all. And then when we broke Most High's law, statutes, commandments, we lost it all.
Because there's a heavier consequence for not living what you know. The Most High says, when you read in Acts, I want to say 17 and 30, He winks at your ignorance. When you didn't know no better, and you were sinning and committing atrocities, you know what? You're going to get hit, but it's not going to be as hard. You didn't know no better. Same thing with the nations. What the nations deserve is fire and brimstone from the very beginning. But were they ever given the law, statutes, and judgments? No. Even what they have now is still not clarity in the laws. Remember, they had the laws during the time of the Greeks. They had the laws and they had the interpretation. And then they had what? The understanding of the interpretation. Now you were there in Josephus. They took 70 elders in Jerusalem and had them write the interpretation of the Hebrew Bible. Then give the understanding of what these words mean.
That's Septuagint, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Septuagint.
But they got the understanding of the Septuagint. So they got the Septuagint. They put it so they could read. They could physically read words on paper, but it still wasn't clicking. It wasn't making sense because they were completely contrary to a biblical mindset. So you got the Christians got the book in their hand. Islam, they got the Bible in their hand. Catholics got the Bible in their hand, and they're just reading words, and they're missing a whole lot of information that could really set them on top if it was intended for that. Because what was wisdom? What was the Bible? What was the advantage of having the knowledge of the Most High? Remember that verse? our knowledge put us above the nations? I can't remember right now.
You talking about Deuteronomy 4 and 6, 4 and 5 through 6?
Read it. That might be it. That sounds right. Give me that real quick. Deuteronomy 4 and verse. Yep. Read that.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5 reads, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them.
He says, keep these statutes and these laws that I taught you and do them. Read on.
For this is your wisdom.
Is what?
Is your wisdom.
Okay, read on.
And your understanding.
It's your wisdom and your understanding. It's your knowledge and your clarity on life. It's information and it's a viewpoint. We can say it in many different ways, many different words, but it's a different way of thinking. And it's a way of thinking that's superior to everybody else. It's a knowledge and information that nobody else on the earth was going to share. Read on.
For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Because if it was executed perfectly, the laws of morality, the laws of the civil laws, the dietary laws, the laws of governance, the laws of war, the laws of farming, the laws of husbandry, the laws of ceremony would all be superior in every facet if it was done correctly. Remember, the law wasn't the problem. It was our fallacies. It was our failures. It was our lack of knowing how to properly execute it, or lack of willingness. Not knowing. We knew how to. Our lack of willingness to execute it, which made us fall on our face so many times. But we had the rule book. We had the manual. We had the game plan in our face. But let that go. So, let's go back to Psalms 147 verse 20. But the nations also have the book now. They have the information. They still couldn't hack it because it wasn't meant for them to get it. Read on.
Psalms 147 verse 20. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Most High.
Praise ye the Lord. We were special. Praise ye the Lord. We had an advantage. We had a head start. We came out with a head start. We were born with a head start. Unfortunately, we didn't take that very, very seriously. We didn't take it seriously back then, and we don't take it seriously now. As a people, as a unit. Read Psalms 105 and verse 6.
This is 105.
Yeah.
Psalms 105 verse 6, and then we'll jump to 9.
Psalms 105 verse 6. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen.
So, again, for all those that say, well, all of Abraham's kids got this law, statutes, and judgment. Read it from the top one more time.
Verse 6. O ye seed.
Did he say seeds?
Seed.
Abraham had many children. Abraham was called the father of many nations. That's what his name means. It says, but O ye seed, meaning there's a particular bloodline, a particular family that was going to get the original promise from Abraham. And their children are going to have that promise. Read on.
O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen.
So it specifies even more. It didn't even mention Isaac. If you know who the son of Isaac was, then you understand. It wasn't Abraham's first son. And it wasn't Jacob. Oh, no. And it wasn't Isaac's first son. It was Jacob. Jacob translating into Israel, which is what we get the so-called Negroes, West Indians, Haitians, Dominicans, Central Americans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, North American Indians, Seminole Indians, Brazilians, Argentinians, Mexicans, and many others scattered abroad on the four corners of the earth. All right? A large portion of us are in those areas, which is why we preference those specific spots.
Ishmael can't have a lot in this scripture right here.
Ishmael got a lot of books, and they got a lot of history, and they have a lot of information. But the clarity and the execution wasn't given to him. And the blessing behind the execution wasn't given to him. Don't confuse blessing on earth as blessing from the Most High. Because we understand this world is not who? It's not Christ's world. It's Satan. Satan's operating. Satan's putting kingdoms in place. When Christ comes back, he'll set everything else in order. But the nations in power right now, the ones that have influence, just because they have influence, doesn't mean they're living righteously. Even if they have a religious face or backing behind what they do. But, give me that in verse 9.
Psalms 105, verse 9. Which covenant he made with Abraham.
This is the reason why I'm taking my time explaining the beginning of this. Because although we end up in the state we're in now, at the beginning we had a great opportunity. And he laid out what our life could have looked like if we would have kept on the game plan that was originally written. Because in the beginning, Abraham was given a covenant. Read on.
Which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac.
That covenant was, I'm going to be your people, and you're going to serve me. That's what we read in Deuteronomy 32. Read on.
Verse 10. And confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law.
So he says, this is the covenant, Abraham. Give it to your son that I choose. This is the covenant, Isaac. Give it to your son that I choose. Not you, that I choose. It says, Jacob, you are now going to live by this covenant, and it's a law. Which means, if you do not, there's going to be a punishment for that failure or breaking of that law. Read on.
And to Israel for an everlasting covenant.
Again, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. All right? So this covenant, this agreement, was supposed to perpetuate or last forever. Now, for those that are new, never heard this before, never read this before, give me Genesis 17 and 10. We're going to find out what that covenant was and what it entailed. Genesis 17 and verse 10. Real quick.
Genesis chapter 17 and verse 10.
Hold Psalms 105. We're going back to it.
Genesis chapter 17 and verse 10.
1 second, brother. All right.
Genesis chapter 17 and verse 10.
Give me 8. Give me 8. Give me 8. Give me 8.
God. Genesis chapter 17 and verse 8.
Give me 7. Give me 7. My fault. It's all good.
Church wants to hear the spirit out.
Hey, brother, you know what it is. It's all good. Give me that. Give me 7. Last time. Give me 1. Just read from the top. No, I'm just kidding. Give me 7.
Verse what? No.
Yeah, no.
Genesis chapter 17 and verse 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant.
And we just read, he's talking to Abraham. And he's telling Abraham, your seed, which ended up being Isaac, and their seed, which ended up being Jacob, will have this everlasting covenant. Read on.
To be a power unto thee.
And I will be a power unto them. Unto those people. Unto that seed. Read on.
And to thy seed after thee.
Read on.
And I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger.
So mind you, we didn't originally have this land. From the beginning, the Most High had mapped it out. But there was still some work to be done before we captured the entire thing. Which means there was already people occupying that particular landmass. Read on.
All the land of Canaan.
Which means all those Canaanite babies, all the Canaanite women, all the Canaanite men were going to have to get out one way or another. The Most High is raw. Because they did not go out very peacefully. So it just shows you, not only is the Most High a man of war, but he's dead serious about his people. He's deadly serious. And he'll take you out if you're in the way for his people. When we're in the right spirit, he'll take those around us out that are inflicting or that are harming us, that are keeping us away from the Most High. That's a fact. That's how he was from the very beginning. Keep reading.
It says, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their power.
Again, he's letting it be known, I'm going to be your particular power. We're going to have a special relationship. Read on.
And the Most High said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant therefore. Thou and thy seed after thee in their generations.
Read.
This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee.
So now we're gonna establish what that particular agreement was and how it was sealed. All right, read on.
Every man child among you shall be circumcised.
The man child were going to be circumcised 8 days after their birth. And that was going to signify you're an Israelite. And you serve God forever. And your generation will forever serve God. That means nobody else on the earth was doing this at the time. That's why when you go to the hospital and you tell them to circumcise your kid, they look at you with horror. Like, what are you doing? Don't you know that's terrifying? They're going through pain.
The kid.
I've seen that. They looked at me crazy. So yeah, I want you to circumcise my son. Why would you do that? Why would you hurt them like that? My son didn't even cry. She came out like, he didn't even cry. He just smiled at me. I'm like, beast. But what it shows is the nations never understood that because it wasn't meant for them. He says the men child were supposed to be circumcised, and that was a token or a sign or a seal that you are in the covenant. All right. Now, all that information is important. Let's go back to Psalms 105 and verse 14.
Psalms chapter 105 and verse 14.
Okay, let me put it in the computer really quickly. Really quickly. Let's backtrack just a little bit. We're establishing the Most High had originated or intended a special relationship between us and Him. All right, and He did that by giving us His statutes and judgments, which is His laws and the consequences for breaking His laws, and to acknowledge or as a sign or as a seal that I am in agreement for the rest of my life. Me and my family are in agreement. Is I will have to be circumcised, or my children will have to be circumcised, or their children will have to be circumcised. All right, all that information is important because that was the first thing we decided to do to spite the Lord when the time came. When the time came to own up and live by what the covenant was about, live by the rules, statutes, and judgments, live by the standard, the moral code the Most High wanted us to live by, we were adamant and quickly decided that was not the lifestyle we wanted to live. All right, but let's get 14 because there was a benefit to all this stuff. There was a benefit to the rules. There was a benefit to the disciplined life. There was a benefit to the structure. All right, read on.
Psalms 105 and 14. He suffered no man to do them wrong.
He suffered what?
He suffered no man to do them wrong.
So when we're in alignment with the covenant, when we're in alignment with the law, when we're in alignment with the way the Most High wants us to think, operate, and deal in our day-to-day lives. Read that again from the top.
Psalms 105 and 14. He suffered no man to do them wrong.
No nation could touch us. There wasn't going to be affliction on us. We were going to have prosperity. We were going to have comfort. We were going to have stability. Everything that we hoped and dreamed from back then and now, we would have already had it established. And we saw peaks of that throughout the biblical history of what it could have been, of what life could have been if I followed and my family followed and all of our families followed the original rules. Read on.
Yea, He reproved kings for their sakes.
Meaning, if it came across a king's mind or a nation's mind to do us harm and do us wrong, he was stinging the kings. He was stinging their kingdoms. He was stinging their personal lives. Because there was nothing and no one was going to come in the way of us and his relationship.
You've seen it in Egypt twice with Pharaoh, with Moses.
Come.
And then you've seen it again. Well, you've seen it first with Abraham when he said to his wife, "Say you're my wife."
Come.
I
Yeah.
was like, hey, why?
No. He said, "Say you're my sister."
My sister,
Because
right.
there was some goons over there.
Exactly.
And she was fair. She's a beautiful woman. So she was like, "Look, if I go on this land and they see you and they think you fine, I'm dead." That's how they was operating over there. I see you, I want you, I'm killing the husband immediately.
Yeah. Pharaoh was like, why you bring all these plagues to our place?
Because you know what happened? When he took the woman, he started having night terrors. He started having night terrors. He started seeing things. Started being tormented. Body started getting tormented. Mind started getting tormented. There was no more peace in his life. Then he got told in the vision, if you touch this woman, you're going to die. And he knew it was real. It happened twice. It happened to two separate kings.
Right.
If you touch this person, you're going to die. There's a consequence to that. That was the level of defense. That's just for one individual. But as a nation, that was the level of defense that we always had. What you got, Mother?
No, I was going to say that she was gone for a long time as well, too.
It was an undisclosed amount of time. You know how you know it was an undisclosed amount of time? Because no one in the land could have children until she was returned.
It took a long time to figure that out.
No women were getting pregnant. No women were getting pregnant until Abraham's wife was returned. How long does that take for hundreds of thousands of people to come together and realize all of us ain't getting pregnant? No one's having kids. That's at least six to 10 months, bro. No, it's got to be at least a year, bro.
Esau kind of
Some people don't even show till at least 6 months. Some people don't even have any symptoms. So you don't know how it was an undisclosed amount of time that Abraham had faith that nothing was going to happen to this woman. But sure enough, nothing was happening to this woman because that brother was scared for his life. Why am I going and bringing this up? The level of protection, the level of security, the level of love the Most High showed us when we are in alignment is something that we can't even fathom anymore. It almost feels like we've never seen that in our entire lives. Because we're living the curses of our forefathers from 2,000 years ago until now. This is what we could have had. This is the I'm not gonna say that. That's folly. I'm gonna be serious today. Keep reading. Keep reading.
Come, verse 15. Saying, touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm.
He said the Most High was gonna warn these nations, do not touch my people. I don't know how they were getting them warnings. Well, actually I do, because they were getting dreams. Mm-hmm. The nations have been getting dreams. Cyrus got dreams. Nebuchadnezzar was getting dreams. So you know they were getting dreams all throughout history. Don't do this or do this. Don't make this play. Shoot, what's his name? We just went over in 7th class. I forgot his name. Alexander the Great. Yeah. He had a dream. When you see this image of all these Israelites lined up, welcome them. Don't harm them.
And he got sick. Did Antiochus get sick?
He just died. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like putrefying.
Yes, he had his insides coming out.
He understood.
Yeah,
he knew. He knew.
We've been getting defended, and we've been continually getting defended, and we would have been continuing to get defended if we as a nation were stayed in alignment with the original covenant. Let that go. Give me Wisdom of Solomon, 15 and verse 12.
15 and 12. Come.
But all that protection that we were supposed to have, all that love, consideration, all that respect and honor that we were supposed to have, turned into what?
Ready for it?
I'm sure I am.
Come. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 15 and verse 12 reads, but they counted our life at a past time.
Hold on. That's important. Read it again. Stop.
Come.
Because originally, the scripture says we were supposed to be protected. We were going to be chosen. We were God's personal people. That we had the inheritance. We had all this prosperity lined up for us. But what ended up happening in the end? Read on.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 15 and verse 12 reads, but they counted our life a past time.
The nations have counted our life as a pastime, as a sport. Like, for instance, baseball is a nation's pastime, right? At one point in time, watching our people be slaves is a pastime. Actually, this is after slavery. You read this again. Read this, I'm out here. Read this real quick. I was looking up some unfortunate pastimes that our people had to unfortunately be accustomed to. This happened in 1895 in New York, in Brooklyn, the summer of Brooklyn Park. What was going on is, I'll just have you read it. Yeah.
From the top.
Yep. Mind you, slavery was already eradicated. All right, that was 1845, I think, something like that. Emancipation Proclamation, something like that. So, slavery had already been eradicated. Right? It's unlawful to have slaves. All right, read on.
Acres of white cotton and 100 wooden cabins housing 500 black workers.
Okay, so there was acres. So there's a landmass in Brooklyn Park that was just cotton fields. It was hundreds of wooden cabins. And this is important because at this point, cotton was no longer a major economic staple for our country at this point. We were already in the Industrial Revolution. So cotton and selling cotton wasn't a major financial source, which is why slavery honestly became obsolete. All right? Towards the latter end of the 1800s. Read on.
Cotton is picked from the stalk and brought over to a humming cotton gin.
The other thing was, at this point, no, they had a cotton gin. Okay, never mind. Yeah, keep reading.
Women on porches chat over chores while keeping an eye on wandering children. The local preacher extols repentance to a backside.
So listen what's happening right now. While there's cotton, and while people are picking cotton, there's women hanging outside, chatting, talking, gossiping, enjoying life, watching the kids. There's what?
It says, while keeping
The
an
local-
eye.
Yeah.
Okay. The local preacher extols repentance to a backslider.
We got white preachers using the slavery that they're watching right now as a reason to not sin. Laughing and using us as an example of what not to do in your life. If you do X, Y, and Z, you end up like them. The preacher, which is, they kind of got a point. But he says, extols repentance to a backslider. Stop backsliding, or you're going to end up like them black folks over there that are picking cotton. Read on.
And folks singing hymns in the rare moments of leisure.
And people are just singing, laughing, enjoying leisure. Again, this is 1895. Keep reading.
What sounds like a South Carolina plantation in 1845 is also, in this case, a New York City exposition in 1895.
This was an exposition in 1895. This is not the South first and foremost. This is in 1895 when slavery was not a thing. Read on.
It says Black America, which took place between Brooklyn's 3rd Avenue and 37th Street, the Ambrose Park.
So what this amusement was to show what was the life of the black American. This was the original sitcom. How did black people live in the South? They watermelon chewers and they treat I'm not going to get to all the derogatory terms. There's many of them. But the point is, we were the representation of what it meant to be black. What's blackness in America? All right? Read on.
It says, it was a combination slavery cosplay, ethnographic exhibition, black performance review, and all-around spectacle.
It was an all-around spectacle. Now, I'm not going to get into all the money. Well, they made $400,000 a week from this particular spectacle of watching, laughing, singing, and joking. And it was 500 black families that had participated in this particular event that were subject to reenacting slavery. And that was white folks' amusement. What's white folks' amusement now? The music we put out. Black beefs. Black rap beefs. That's the biggest entertainment of this year. Drake and Kendrick Lamar dissing and defaming one another. Calling each other's kids out. Calling each other's households out. Their lifestyles out. What's biggest entertainment now? What's going on in the next case? What's the next information on the Diddy case? What's going to happen there? Embarrassing moments of black people is all we talk about.
And even in politics, mass deportation.
I was going to get there. I'll tell you the next one. That's a spectacle. Meg Thee Stallion shaking a tail feather for Kamala, because that's what we want to see. That's obviously what the black man represents. Where there's a bunch of hip hop dancing and laughing individuals. We can't be taken serious. That's how white America looks at black folks. Just like white America looked at black folks as slaves in 1895, when we were not slaves, and look at us as a bunch of clowns that need to shut up and dribble. If you got viewpoints and you got knowledge and wisdom, I don't want to hear that. If you ain't talking about sports, rap music, or Twitch streaming, I don't want to hear nothing that's come out your mouth. Because where are we prominent? What are we celebrities of? Folly, entertainment. Yeah. Our life is a pastime. Our life is about making others enjoy their life. Making others smile. Making others feel comfortable. Making others entertained. That's what our life has become and has been. But that was a curse. That was one of the curses that was going to happen because we left our original power. We left our original structure and moral code. Let that go. Keep reading Wisdom of Solomon 15 and 12.
Come, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 15 and verse 12 from the top reads.
Even, for those that know baseball, even the history of the Negro Leagues. Do y'all know when the Negro League started and when it ended? Then during the Great Depression. That's when the Negro League started. And it ended right after what? World War II. After the fighting got done, we don't need y'all blacks anymore. Y'all good. Go back to working in factories. Because what has entertainment historically been used to do? Diffuse problems, economic struggles, civil unrest. What was the whole point of the gladiators? Which we also were doing. Which was also our previous occupation as a pastime. It was to diffuse the idea that these popes, not popes, but these What do they refer to themselves at? The Romans.
Gladiator.
No. Not Pope.
Caesar.
Caesars, yes. These Caesars were blowing the money, making bad business investments, making bad war investments, having an open border policy, which is causing more confusion and havoc amongst Rome itself. So to diffuse all that, to diffuse the eyes of the actual Caesar, I'm going to throw these grandiose gladiator battles, and y'all will get pacified during civil unrest. This has always been the pattern of the nations, but they use us as the source of the entertainment. Read on. In 12? Yeah. 12.
Come. But they counted our life a pastime, and our time here a market for gain.
And we're worth a lot of money as entertainment. We're worth a lot of money as entertainment. We make them billions of dollars, shaking our tail feather, rapping about killing one another, rapping about selling drugs, playing basketball, playing football, playing baseball. We make them a lot of money. But this is how they've always treated us. And that was what we were going to have to succumb to as a result of our foolishness, of our disobedience. Let that go. Give me
What, Psalms?
Psalms 44 and verse 13 through 14. And I know I'm taking my time, and I know we haven't got to meet the class yet, but I think it's important to set it up. Because when we go into how this all started and what choices were we making to get us to that point, it'll make sense on why the Most High was just. Because you might hear this, my man, we had a good, how could the Most High take this away from us? Why would he set us up like that, tell us we're going to have this particular lifestyle, tell us we're going to have this level of sovereignty and comfort and stability, and all of a sudden you look up and you're born in the hood. You look up and you're born in a broken household. You look up and you're born amongst people who, amongst economic instability, educational inequalities, systematic depression, depression, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no, systematic oppression. You're born into systematic oppression. You're starting off backwards. But you're reading the Bible and you're saying, man, I was supposed to be X, Y, and Z. I could have been, my family could have been this. My life could have been this. We're going to find out how we got into that. Because it wasn't just the Most High just messing with us, playing a game with us. Give me Psalms 44 and 13.
Psalms chapter 44 and verse 13.
Yep.
Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors.
He says, the Most High makes us a reproach, a scorn, or an embarrassment to our neighbors. Read on.
A scorn and a derision to them that are round about us.
Yep.
Thou makest us a byword among the heathen.
That's why we have all these nicknames, all these stereotypes. Because that was the curse that we were going to have. Since we didn't want to operate in wisdom, since we took the law and the Most High's moral code as a reproach, I'm going to make you as a nation a reproach. I'll make you as I'll make you as a nation an embarrassment. Something that should not be accounted for. Since you couldn't take what I was teaching you as something worth valuing. Read on.
Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people.
And I understand. Because when you see when you see political foolishness that I saw during this term, I understand why we're shaking of the head. I understand why no one takes us seriously. We don't take ourselves seriously. Where the political candidate has to talk in Ebonics just to relate to us. This Indian woman has to talk in Ebonics. For those that don't know, it's black slang. This is what it is, black slang. They're talking Ebonics just so you can feel like I'm one of y'all. Nothing wrong with talking Ebonics. That's how you talk. That's how you talk. But what it shows is Ebonics is just an uneducated form of English. It's not an offense. It's not our fault we're uneducated, but that's what it is. So the politics, she'll go from one city, she'll go to Mississippi and talk in Ebonics, and then go to New York, and now she's a professional again. Is that not a slap in the face? Can we not get the same level of respect and decor that you gave these white folks in suits? No, most times we don't. Even Trump, you listen to some of Trump's speeches, how does Trump always relate to us? I'm always cool with the black guys. I had a lot of black friends. Look at Trump's black friends. There's rappers and entertainers and celebrities. That's all he can relate us to. I know a lot of celebrities, a lot of black athletes. That's all they know. Yes.
Also, he freed Kodak Black.
And you know what? That took us over the edge. It went from F Donald Trump to all of a sudden I'm actually riding with Donald Trump.
Now he's playing many men.
Come on, bro.
Got street
That's the point. You got street cred. All of a sudden, I actually like this guy. All of a sudden, he's not that bad. It don't take much to please us. You got to sit here and plan out your economic plan and plan out what you can do for small businesses and plan out what you're going to do for the people who actually make some substantial bread in this country and your tax plans, and break it down play by play for white folks. But for us, if you free a ninja that don't need to be freed, you got my vote. If you free NBA Youngboy, if you free a Tory Lanez, if you free who was locked up? Slime, what's his name? Young Thug.
He out now.
I know, but they were talking about having Trump pardon him as well. If you free Young Thug, I'm gonna rock with you again. It's gonna be the streets is gonna be pacified.
He's gonna win Atlanta. He's got Florida.
He got Atlanta. Atlanta is locked in. If you free Thug, if he free Thug, Atlanta's gonna be locked in regardless. Even though they're normally red anyway, but they're gonna be locked in. No, actually, no, not. They've been blue before. But the point is, he would have been free regardless. He would have won regardless. It don't take much to please us. We're not thinking about numbers. I'm not looking up Kamala's tax plans. I don't care, but that has nothing to do with me. I'm not buying houses anyway, so I'm not worried about that. I want to know what you're doing for me and my entertainment.
Yeah,
that's it. So, why are we going to this? Not only do the nation not take us seriously, we don't take ourselves seriously, because we don't take understanding the way the Most High is thinking very seriously. So, did you finish that already in verse 14?
Sir.
All right, let that go. Give me Now we get to the class. First Maccabees 1 and 11. First Maccabees 1 and 11. Is there any question, any confusion so far? Okay. Why is so much?
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11.
Okay. So we're setting the tone. First Maccabees is going into a time where we as a nation, this is we had a little sovereignty, we had a little power. This is after the Persians fall. We're in Sabbath class, if you're watching Sabbath classes, we're during the time of the Persians, and we're just starting to slowly transition into the Greek era, in the Greek time. That's why we went into what's the name?
Sambalat.
No. Well, yeah, Sambalat, but the young king that died.
Alexander.
Yeah, I'm having some mental lapses. Okay, Alexander the Great, right? We're in that time of Alexander the Great. Shortly after his time frame, Alexander the Great didn't require us to change our laws. He didn't require us to change our customs and our way of thinking. All right, but after he fell, and the kingdom was split by 4 individuals, that's when you start seeing the moral decay. That's when you start seeing the Shambalats of the world. And for those that know, it's the people that take whatever they can as an opportunity to grow or to get power. All right, so now that we got a little backdrop, let's read that in 1:11.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
So shortly after Alexander the Great passed away, and his generals took over the different land masses. Read on.
It says, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
Now this is important, because did we not already have a covenant? What does covenant mean? Does anybody know what covenant means? Somebody give me a brief definition.
Promise.
It's an agreement. It's a contract. We already had a contract with who?
The Most High.
So we already had a contract, a moral code, or a way of living with the Most High, set in stone. The wicked men persuaded many, which means many of our people are easily persuaded. If there's an opportunity to gain, there's an opportunity to come up, there's an opportunity for comfort, we'll take that deal on a heartbreak over the Most High. Happens all the time, over and over and over again. The things written aforetime written for our learning. I mean, you start seeing the cycles of our people and how we really think and how we really operate. Read on.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
What he's saying is, we've had our sovereignty. Remember, we were just under the Persians. We just got our land back. We just got our own system of government again. And what these wicked men, used to convince the multitude, many of our people round about. They said, since we left the nations, we've had sorrow and loss. We've been suffering. I ain't getting paid no more. I'm not getting bread. That's what you're saying. I'm not getting bread. I don't got the money to build the house I want. I don't got the time to do what I want to do. I'm always working. I'm slaving. So our solution was, let's leave the original agreement with the Most High, who guides our own land, our own power structure, and go sign an agreement with these nations and do whatever we got to do to get that agreement done.
And also what we don't think about is that what independence means is a lot of work. It means you got to be selfless. You got to look out for your nation. We don't want to do that.
And that's why the white man doesn't fear us.
Right.
The reason why the white man does not fear us is our people do not want to build each other up. Because to build each other up, you're not coming up. To build a nation from scratch, that means the best, brightest minds of that nation have to lose. Why do you think Africa, as a continent, has not been built up for thousands of years? Or I'll say 1,000 years. No, 500 years. Because the best, brightest minds, when Esau figures them out, or when the Arabs figure out who you are, or the Chinese man figure out who you are, they take you from your country, or you leave your country voluntarily, and you go learn to them. You go to America, you go to London, you go to China, you go to Russia, and you get their education, and then now you have a choice. You got to take all this knowledge, information, and potentially come up and be really successful in my own life, or forsake all that and go back to my country that's got dirt roads, that's living in not trees, but huts, and it's going to take decades to get built up from scratch, and more manpower that I don't have. And more times than not, what do people choose to do? I'm going to build me and mine up.
And those bright minds, they don't want to get together with other bright minds. They see that as competition. We don't want competition. We can't even come together.
Well, I'm talking about Ham right now.
Yeah.
I ain't talking about us. We already know the curse of us is we ain't come together.
About us,
I'm talking about Ham and Moab. Well, no, Moab got to figure it out. Moab
Yeah,
Moab and Elam got to figure it out. What they'll do is they've been buying all the motels and it was motels 50. In the 70s, they started buying all the motels, and they kept bringing their families in. That's why they own most of the motels. That's a little quick history. But the nation's got to figure it out. How you build your kingdom from a foreign land is you bring all your family over, and it's a family business. You bring your cousins, your cousins, your cousins' friends, everybody, and you all work within one another. Our people, we get smart, we get educated, we get a little bread, and we deuce. We out. And if you didn't make it, hey, bro, you just didn't make it. It's tough. But that's how our people have always operated. It's always been about us. It's always been what can I do for myself. We keep reading. Give me verse end of 11 again.
Time. It says, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Isn't that what Israel says now? When I left the truth, when I left the world, when I left my job, and I had to sit here and come work with y'all, I've been sad since. I just can't find a reason to be happy. I just don't know why I'm so sad. I don't know my purpose anymore. You left the world to find your purpose, to get in the truth, and lose your purpose altogether. Doesn't make sense. Or how about, hey, I gave up a lot of opportunities in the world because you know what? You sacrifice time, you sacrifice money by coming to class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Am I right or am I wrong?
Oh, yeah.
There's bread to be made right now. There's bread out there. There's success out there. There's fun times out there. But you decide to sacrifice that because you realize there's more importance serving the Most High. But most people say that's sorrowful. Most people, they want their Wednesday night to relax. It's hump day. It's been a long week already. I can't wait till it's Friday already. That's what they're telling us in their mind. Why would I go to class? I'm tired. I've had a long week. I've done my 8 hours.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Tomorrow's already here. Tomorrow's already here. It's 6, 7 o'clock. I need to rest. I need to chill. I need to chill. That's the sorrow that we're talking about here. We were not I wouldn't say we weren't struggling a little bit. We were struggling because we were starting to build up our nation again. But if they saw the light in the tunnel and they saw the Most High has been working with them for hundreds of years up until this point to build to where they're at right now, they would have seen it would have been prosperous. They would have seen how it would have turned out in their benefit if they would have waited. Why are we going to that? Because our people don't see long term. We're very short-sighted. Keep reading.
Right. Verse 12 says, so this device pleased them well.
So this thought process is called a device, a wicked device. This device pleased them, and those many that they persuaded as well. Because many of us are just as weak-minded. We just need a rebel to start it up, to start the rebellion. We need someone with a little more gall, a little more courage to say the unsaid. Oh, you're sad? I've been sad. I've just been waiting for someone to agree with me. Looking for the opportunity to get out. That's how cancerous that negative mindset can be. All it takes is a couple of rebels to blow up everything. Especially when someone's fighting weakness anyway. But keep reading.
Right. Says, then certain of the people were so forward herein.
So we have the regular wicked folks, the regular rebels, the regular quitters, and then we have the forward ones, the ones that decide, I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm not just going to be wicked. I'm not just going to rebel. But I'm going to take it the next step. Read on.
Right. So certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
I'm not going to go too deep in what that means. But I will say, if you look at the history of the Greeks and what they were doing, you'll understand how disgusting this really is. You'll understand how defiled we really were in the mind. Which means we've been that defiled for a very long time. We were just looking for enough backing, enough people to back our way of thinking. As long as y'all agree with this, then I don't feel as ashamed to execute how wicked I really am. Keep reading. We're going to prove it.
It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem.
It wasn't just about working out. Read on.
Right. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
That last line is very important because you gotta know what the customs of the Greeks were when they had these gymnasiums. What were they doing in these gymnasiums? Keep it PG. If anybody knows, as PG as possible.
Well, they were relating to each other on an intimate fashion.
Okay. Yes, the men were were that and see who said that? I wasn't gonna say all that. I'm gonna say this. In order to do business with us, you have to perform certain acts that are unlawful to God. But if you live in 2024 in the United States of America, you might get praised for it. Say it like that. You got a whole month, maybe 2 months for it. That's what was being done. That's what we were waiting. What it means is we was waiting for the opportunity to give into our folly, to give into our lust. We was waiting on it. I need enough people to coincide my way of thinking, so I'm not the oddball when I bring this up to the people. Like, hey, we should build these gyms after the customs, though. After these Greeks, you see how these Greeks operate? Man, I think that'd be a good idea.
So they devised something that was state of the art for those times.
Yeah. I mean, explain that.
Well, because it says the device. So the device it was a new idea. They came up with this new idea, and they went to the king with this new idea, and he gave them license to do so. So they took something that was already there, and they made something new.
Well,
like they said that the gymnasium, maybe it was indoor or something like that, but just to give an idea.
I looked the device up in 1828 because this gives clarity. A device means a scheme, which means there's ulterior motives. All right, it wasn't just that I'm tired of God's laws today, or I think God's laws are unfair, or I just been so sorrowful and we've been suffering so much because we've fallen in Christ. It was, if I paint this picture, because not everybody's well off like I am. You gotta understand, who were they listening to? It wasn't the poor man complaining about his life.
No.
It was the ones who had power. Nowadays, who do people gravitate to? If you got money and power, your voice means more. So the ringleaders of this were the ones that had money and power. And we're going to find out it was some of the priests, which makes sense. You got money and power. Yeah, people suffer. Because you know what? Life's about suffering. Life's about adversity. Yeah, the days is long. Yeah, you're not always going to have leisure time. Yeah, your crops might not have been this plentiful this year. How about others around you who are also not plentiful? Not just you. How about your money's funny? Your money's been funny because you've been a captive for 500 years at this point. You think you're not going to be a captive just because you got a gymnasium and with them boys in the gym? No. You're still going to be suffering. You're still going to be losing. All the ones that are going to benefit from this is only the ones who have power and notoriety in the beginning anyway. It's not like you're making, as a poor farmer, you're going to be making business deal with the rich of the rich, the pushers, the movers and shakers of the Greeks. It's going to be the priests, it's going to be the princes, it's going to be the ones who already have power anyway.
They got the member jackets.
They got the member jackets. You're going to be outside looking in.
Yeah.
So, man, I'll be great. I want to be in the gyms too. So you make your little whack gym just to be.
You got Planet Fitness, and then you got...
you have the. I don't hate on Planet Fitness,
No.
but
I'm just saying
it's not a Gold's Gym.
It's cheap.
It's not a Gold's Gym. You don't got the basketball court.
LA Fitness.
You got the swimming pool. You got a couple machines that ain't really hitting. The weights is limited. You only go up to like 225 and lifting. You're not really pushing no weights. You're not pushing no weights, bro. If you want to get swole, Planet Fitness is not the spot. Nothing wrong with it. It's not the spot for getting swole. So the poor folks gonna make them garbage gyms just to be LGBTQ whatever. But the real ones, the echelons, they're gonna be doing that stuff too, but they're gonna be getting some benefits out there.
Yeah.
So you persuaded all these people to corrupt themselves for nothing. That was the point. It was for nothing. It was a scheme. It was a device.
And the license is excess of liberty.
Yeah, which means that's important. That's important because it wasn't originally there. And the Greeks never forced it on us. They didn't force you to have to be and have this way of thinking, this LGBTQ spirit in the camp. They didn't force you to have to do that. You chose to do that. You chose to embrace that culture, to embody that lifestyle. What you got, Yana?
Just on that gymnasium that you were talking about, you know, 1828 is derived from the Greek name, but
Whoa, slow down.
PG.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Okay, yeah.
I have to say that because when you dive into deeper, it talks about
That's horrible.
It's also for schooling. So not only were they unclothed, but it was a schooling instead for preparing them to interest into like university and higher learning. So it was a
So it's young boys too.
So it was a place
When there's grown men.
You were getting groomed into different professions, different kind of like fraternities and stuff like that. So we were really trying to. It was just an unsavory way of being inducted into these other cultures. You know what I'm saying?
It's how it was. It's how the nations have always operated. We look at the study of the samurais. I love samurai, Japanese stuff. But the samurais, they had relations with these little boys as a way to. They were their lovers. They were their students. They were their friends, and they were their successor. And all that was embodied. They saw when they're 8 years old, up until whenever they become a man in Japanese culture. But you've seen that pattern even in knighthood. Or you want to be a blacksmith? Hey, that's what you gotta do. I'll teach you everything you need to know, but you're gonna have to succumb to this lifestyle for X amount of years. You want to be a knight? This is what you gotta do. This is what it meant to be a squire. This is squire life. Yes, sir.
One scripture can sum that up. It was an inordinate affection.
Yeah, that's Romans 1. I know. Listen, I'm trying not to get too. I know I've already got there. We're already there. But you're right. It was Romans 1 because the nations are extremely lustful. They're extremely inordinately lustful.
So would you say like a low level of that nowadays in colleges with these fraternities would be hazing? Would that
Yes. It's well.
I don't know nothing about it. I'm just asking.
Yeah, hazing is definitely part of it. If you've been in that culture, you've been in that environment, you know what it's about. Yeah, that's there too. If you've been in team sports, it's also there. You better either you fight, you become the weird guy, or you embody everything that comes with it.
These are kind of like the gateways to that in modern times.
Oh yeah, because the freshmen are with the seniors, and them seniors is weird. Them seniors are weird. I'm not even joking. Like you if you don't go in the shower fully clothed, I'm not gonna get too deep. What I'm saying is this culture is perpetuated for a very long time.
So the assimilation is part of this Gentile mind state.
It's a Gentile, confused, lost mindset that our people have been assimilated in for a very long time, which makes sense while we had the same values, customs, and beliefs as these Gentiles.
Also known as accepting.
And we've accepted it. It's normalized now. It's not a shame anymore. But keep reading.
Verse 15. It says, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant.
Hold on. So wait a minute. They were that forward, right? They got license from the king. King, we want to be like y'all. We got a lot of people that also want to be like y'all. Can we please build these gymnasiums and live out to you guys and start doing business with you guys on that level? Take it one step forward. Remember, what was a requirement for the men at that time to be a part of the covenant or to symbolize that you're an Israelite? Symbolize that you are a son of God. You better be circumcised. There was a picture that if you go find the old classes, I don't have it on me and I'm not going to go look for it. We'll put it on the screen, and it showed the process of being uncircumcised and how that looked and how that partook. And it was gruesome. Very gruesome. But it's not just the flesh. The flesh, just like the actual circumcision, was only a symbol of what was already supposed to be in your heart and in your mind. You read about that in Romans 4. The act of uncircumcising yourself was only the symbol of what you already had in your mind as well. And we're going to prove that. Finish that real quick.
It says, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen.
And joined themselves to the heathen. I'm done with God's law. I've crossed the line. I've physically altered my flesh just so God knows without a shadow of a doubt I'm not rocking with you anymore. And I made my path to go left. This is what we were doing during the time of the Greeks. And we've done it before then as well. But this was the physical representation of what was happening at that time. Let that go. Give me Jeremiah 6 and verse 10 through 11. So you want to see the downfall of our people? When we started going left, why all the plans and the aspirations to do well and to have a lot of things and have prosperity and security didn't happen? It started with these moments here. Gerard, can you check what temperature it is? If it's not on 71, put on 71. We got a thermostat altar over here.
You said Jeremiah 6 and 10, right?
I sure did.
Come.
Said you wanted on 73.
Whoa! Are you the guy?
No, I'm not.
It's 71.
It's on 71.
Okay. I'm sweating over here. All right, give me that in Jeremiah.
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 10 reads, to whom shall I speak and give warning, that they may hear? Behold, their ear is uncircumcised.
It says their what?
Their ear is uncircumcised.
So before we physically uncircumcise ourselves, what did we stop doing?
Not stop hearing.
We stopped listening. Our ear to God's word became uncircumcised first. Our willingness to keep learning, His mindset became uncircumcised. When you read in Matthew, Christ said our ears wax gross. We became rebellious. We became immovable. We became stubborn, prideful, dull. What's another word? Insubordinate. What was Romans 1 say? We became, don't worry about it. Stubborn, rebellious. What you got?
Zechariah 7 and 11.
What does that say?
But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears that they should not hear.
Willful. That's the one. Willful. We pull away our ears from hearing the Most High's word. Generation after generation. Kingdom after kingdom. King after king. You keep seeing the pattern of our people constantly refusing the benefits. Constantly refusing the word. Taking other avenues. Taking other knowledges. Taking other gods, idols for truth. And forsaking the original truth. Keep reading.
Their ear is uncircumcised, and they cannot hearken. Behold, the word of the Lord is unto them a reproach.
He says the word of the Lord was a reproach. So you wonder why now we get reproached? The Most High is funny like that. The Most High has jokes. Because we took the word as a waste of time, as wasted effort, as information that wasn't needed in my life. Now, we as a people aren't needed. We as a people are a waste of time. We as a people are a joke. That's how the Most High shows us. Keep reading.
Come. The word of the Lord is unto them a reproach. They have no delight in it.
Because back then we didn't have delight in the word, and now it's like pulling teeth to get people to have delight in the word, to get people to to read the Bible and be inspired to learn more about God's knowledge. It's the same thing. I mean, if you have a hard time reading and studying, you approach the word of the Lord, because you don't want to sit here and give your mind and give your service dedication to it. It's the same spirit. It comes from the same source. Read on.
Come, verse 11. Therefore, I am full of the fury of the Lord.
So the Most High is not taking this very lightly. Just because you don't want to do something doesn't mean you're not going to be unpunished for being rebellious. Just because you don't want to serve God doesn't mean you were not created to serve God. If you were created to serve God, you don't have a choice. And we talk about free will this, free will that. Yeah, you have a choice on what you do, but ultimately, if you keep making the wrong mistakes, it's gonna pan out not according to your life. Unfavorable. There's a lot of nations, a lot of our people live their life and they don't get stung, or at least that we don't see. They get to live their life. They have their hopes and dreams and desires, and it works out for them. And it seems like to us they're getting away with murder. But we make one little mistake, one little mental slip up, and all of a sudden the world's falling apart. All of a sudden our relationships are falling apart. Stability in our house starts falling apart. Because they weren't meant to serve the Most High, and you were. And it's no deeper than that. And when you don't, he's full of fury. Read on.
I am weary with holding in. I will pour it out upon the children abroad.
Yep.
And upon the assembly of young men together. For even the husband with the wife shall be taken, the age with him that is full of days.
And this is why we had so many captivities. It wasn't just in the transatlantic slave trade. We've been in captivities over and over and over again. Every couple hundred years, we're in a new captivity. We're in a new ruler, new master. Because we kept repeating the same. We didn't learn our lesson. We've never learned our lesson. We never decide, you know what? Our way of doing things does not work. We'll tell ourselves, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make my way work. I know what you're saying. I know what God's saying, but I'm going to make my way work. Make my path clear. And how many times we got to keep falling on our face to realize it's not going to happen for us. Let that go. Ezekiel 5 and verse 6 through 8.
Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 6.
Yep.
And she hath changed my judgments into wickedness.
She is referring to Israel. When you read in Isaiah, the Most High calls Israel his wife. We are his wife. So when he refers to she, it's not talking about an individual woman. It's talking about us as an entire nation. We turn his judgment to wickedness. Read.
More than the nations.
More. So we did what with more than the nations?
She hath changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations.
So when we built them gymnasiums, did we go farther than the nations? Well, we went farther. We went more deeper and negative. More left. More contrary. Did worse. More polluted. Every time. Read on.
And my statutes more than the countries that are round about her.
So our nation, from the beginning, understood God's laws, understood right and wrong, and decided to do more negative at a higher rate, at a higher propensity than everybody else in the world. Does that even sound right? Does it even make any sense? How do we have more access to stability, more access to power, more access to knowledge, and we still choose to go further into our negative than people who never seen it, never had it, never had the opportunity? This is why I'm also so furious with us over and over and over again. Read on.
For they have refused my judgments and my statutes. They have not walked in them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, because ye multiplied more than the nations that are round about you, and have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power.
So what was the consequence of us forsaking and reproaching the Lord's word? Read on.
Behold, I, even I, am against thee, and will execute judgments in the midst of thee, in the sight of the nations.
All the nation going to know that the Most High has cursed us. The Most High was not happy with us. The Most High was against what we were doing. Hold that. And he showed it in what way? Give me Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64 through 66.
Right. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people.
So the consequence of our actions, of our stubbornness, was what?
Says, shall scatter thee among all people.
We were going to be scattered amongst the entire world. We were going to lose our sovereignty, lose our power, lose our stability, lose our identity, who we were supposed to be, all because of rebellion, all because we didn't want to lock in back then. And we can't blame our ancestors too hard because we do the same thing now. We have the same level of stubbornness, same level of rebellion. Read on.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
That's why you wear the crosses. That's why you wear dashikis. That's why you wear the. That's why you worship the cobblestone at Mecca. That's why you worship the yin yang. Whatever our people worship nowadays, it's because we've been scattered abroad and introduced to even more native anyway.
And that scattered also is confusion. That's the confusion.
It is confusion. It's confusion because, again, I'm losing identity. I'm losing culture. I lost my language. I lost my knowledge of who I am. And I lost my religion. So now I'm going to be fishing for something else. Something else spiritual. And end up with all these different distractions and confusing religions. Read on.
It says, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
I mean, your life's always going to be a struggle. You're going to be a slave whether you admit it or not, whether you want to be or not. You're going to struggle whether you want to or not. You were meant to struggle as a curse for not following the beginning. Read on.
But the Most High shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes.
You're going to have a trembling heart. One of the curses is, I'm not going to have confidence in who I am. I'm not going to have confidence in my lifestyle. Read on.
Failing of eyes.
Failing of eyes is loss of hope. Loss of hope. Read on.
And sorrow of mind.
Depression. That sounds very specific to our people. It's going to get even more specific. Read on.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee.
So now, you're going to be doubting why live. What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? So I feel like everything I'm doing is wrong. Everything my family did was wrong. Everything their family did was wrong. Nothing is working out. How do I get out of this rat race? How do I get out of this seeming trap? That's why people are so adamant about getting out of these we got to break these generational curses. They got to break out of these curses. They don't even know where to start. But they know they're trapped, though.
Hey, we actually did use that word, too. I remember my kinfolk, he would say, I think he cursed, man. That's way before I know.
Yeah.
And we actually use words like that.
You have to be cursed. Because you have to think that, even if you don't know the Bible, because you look around you, and everybody else is winning except you and your people. You and yours. That don't make no sense. You're in the land of the free and still at the bottom. Land of opportunity and still losing. It has to be a curse. It's true. Read on.
Says, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night.
You think you get an opportunity for our 9.5ers. You cross the border, think you got another opportunity to survive and change your life, change your family's life, and you get the news that Trump's coming for you. And you might have to go back. And you might get split from your children. Now that's a real fear. That's a real fear.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real reality, too. So he's saying is no one's escaping these curses. Or you're the black man in America and you were just born to lose. Or you're the Issachar man or the 9.5er that's coming over thinking you escaped the troubles of a third world country. Just to find out it might get worse over here. No one's escaping it. Read on.
And shall have none assurance of thy life.
You're going to lose all assurance and hopes of stability. That was the curse. That was the results of our actions. We did that. Our people did that by our decisions. Let that go. Give me Judges 2 and 14. Judges 2 and 14.
Judges chapter 2, verse 14. And the anger of the Most High was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of the spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies.
And the consequence was you lose your sovereignty. You lose your protection. You lose your kingdom. You lose the benefits and the blessings the Most High originally had out for you. Let that go. Amos 9:9. We got some quick ones up here, real quick. Amos 9:9. Someone else give me Romans 11 and 1. Oh, cops calling me. It's a lot.
God. Amos chapter 9 and verse 9. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
Yep.
Like as corn is sifted in the sea, yet shall not the least grain.
So he said, hold on, before we get there, because that's the hope part. The hope part is, after we've been sifted and sprinkled all throughout the nations, and had our names changed, our religions changed, our lifestyle changed, our customs changed, the hope is we're not forgotten about. That's why we're coming to truth now. The hope is my failures in life, my traumas in life, how my upbringing in life is not all for nothing. And the Most High will change and will give me the stability that I need if I make a commitment to Him. That's the hope. Read on.
Right. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
Yep.
Like as corn is sifted in the sea, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
He said, but not the least grain fall upon earth, meaning the least of us will not be forgotten. The least of us will not be left hanging if you make the adjustment, if you make the change. That's why Paul said this in Romans 11 and 11.
Romans chapter 11 and verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall?
My fault. Romans 11 and 1. My fault.
Romans chapter 11 verse 1. I say then, have the Most High cast away His people?
We're both, yeah.
God forbid. For I also am an Israelite.
He says, has the Most High, after seeing all these curses, all these failures, all this trauma, all this distress, the common person will think, you know what, the Most High has cast us off forever. Not only are we cursed, but we're forgotten about. And we're just going to stay in this position forever. Paul said that's not true. He says, not only is it not true, I'm living proof that it's not true. I'm living proof that the Most High can take you from a low position and elevate you. Elevate your mind. Elevate your stability. Read on.
Have God cast away His people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
And what he's also saying is, He hasn't completely cast us away because He hasn't let the knowledge of who we are completely be decimated from the earth. Because some way, somehow, this was preserved. Some way, somehow, you look at old pictures in the 1800s, you see us coming off the boat in full fringes with Star Davis on our chests. We had that picture, but I can't upload on there. Some way, somehow, the Native Americans kept some of their culture. And they knew about Moses. They knew about some of the laws. They knew about the French. They knew about the dietary laws. Yeah, we had some bones in there. We had some other false religions. We served sun gods. We did that. But we knew who we were and where we came from. Some way, somehow, we preserved until the Most High fully awoke us. Let that go. Acts 26 and verse 15. So that's how you know we have not been fully casted off. Because if He wanted to fully cast us off, He wouldn't allow us the opportunity to be retaught again and get back right with His original covenant that we so easily gave up for comforts, for stability, for business opportunities.
26:15.
Acts 26 and verse 15.
God. Acts chapter 26 and verse 15.
And we're going to go to 18.
Come. Acts chapter 26 and verse 15.
Yep.
And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushua, whom thou persecutest.
Yep. So this is about Paul. Paul, before he was changed and he was a servant of Christ, he was a ambassador of killing the Christians, of killing the original followers of Christ. He was the hitman.
So this is Saul.
This is Saul. Yes, this is Saul, and his job was to go out and find any insurrection, any heretics in Jerusalem. And if you serve Christ and you were talking about Christ the Savior, Christ is King, you're getting whacked. You're getting killed. That was his job. Or you're being brought to the priests to be executed. Read on. From top.
Come. Acts chapter 26 verse 15. And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushua, whom thou persecutest. But rise and stand upon thy feet, for I have appeared unto thee for this purpose.
He says, so before I appeared unto you, you were not living your purpose. You were not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You were in a low state of mind because you couldn't see the value in what I was bringing to the table. But I'm going to instruct you and tell you what's your next course of action. Read on.
To make thee a minister and a witness both of these things which thou hast seen, and of those things in the which I will appear unto thee.
You're going to be an advocate for me now. You're going to go out to the world and profess what you've learned of me and change the hearts of those that have been scattered. Read.
Delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles, unto whom now I send thee.
I'm going to take you away from the people that are trying to kill you or that will be killing you. And I'm going to send you back to these Gentiles. There's that word again. Gentiles, unto whom now I send thee. Now, you see that word? Christians see that word? Catholics see that word? And what are they thinking? Paul came to teach the entire world. Is that not what's said? For those that have been in Christian churches,
yes, it is.
For those that's been in a system that's indoctrinated to believe that Christ's message and the apostles' message were all for the Gentiles and the nations. You read that without any understanding of what a Gentile was, any knowledge of what that was, and this is what you get: confusion. But we're going to get clear on this Gentiles word with a couple of scriptures. We keep reading.
God. Verse 18. To open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light.
Because these Gentiles had closed eyes, had uncircumcised ears, and were not willing or not able to interpret or understand my message to them. But your job is to go in and change their hearts on my behalf. Read on.
And from the power of Satan unto the Most High, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me.
So your job and our job is to get taught up and go teach our people who did not know who they were, so they can also receive the inheritance of faith that were sanctified. And that inheritance started in Jerusalem. But let that go. Give me Acts 22 and verse 21. So this is why Paul said in Romans 11, God is not forecasting his people because I am an Israelite. What he's saying is, if God did not care about his people, he wouldn't have sent me out here to hazard my life. Because it was a hazardous task to go out to these foreign countries that had foreign doctrines, foreign ideals, who, as you know, will kill for their ideals, even if they're wrong. And try to convince stubborn people who happen to be us, you need to change your life, or else. Change your life, or you're going to die. Change your life, or you're not going to make the kingdom. Change your life because your religion doesn't make sense. Your religion is not real. It's a hazardous task. It's a risky task. But that's what he was saying. That was the purpose he was now given. Read on.
Acts chapter 22 and verse 21 reads, And he said unto me, Depart, for I will send thee far hence unto the Gentiles.
Paul was going to be the teacher of the Gentiles. Again, let's get more on that. St. John 7 and 33. Christ is going to tell us who these Gentiles are. Or the apostles, rather.
John chapter 7, verse 33.
And through 35. St. John 7, verse 33 through 35.
John chapter 7, verse 33.
Now, for me personally, this is my personal opinion. If you come across someone on the street that has an opinion on who the Gentiles might be or who they believe the Gentiles are, this is one of those verses that no one has the answer to. This verse and another string of verse that follows with it. Read on.
John chapter 7, verse 33. Then said Yahushua unto them, Yet a little while am I with you, and then I go unto him that sent me.
Now, unbeknownst to the apostles, he was talking about he's going to die and go to the Most High. But what did they think Christ was talking about when he said this? Read on.
Ye shall seek me, and shall not find me. And where I am, thither ye cannot come.
So he's saying, where I'm going to go, you can't follow me. Where I'm going to go, you're not going to know where it's going to be. Read on.
Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go?
Where will he go? Read.
That we shall not find him.
Mm-hmm.
Will he go unto the dispersed?
Hold on. We going to who?
Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
Read it again.
Will he go unto the dispersed?
Will he go into the dispersed? The ones that were cursed in Deuteronomy 28? That you're going to be sent to the four corners of the earth because you were disobedient? And teach the Gentiles? Gentiles being who? Us that were dispersed. They didn't know we were Israelites. That had the bloodline and had no knowledge of it. Read on.
Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
How can you read this and not understand he's talking about the same people that were cursed in the Old Testament? Now I understand why the Old Testament is not taught. Because to get the understanding of this, you got to know the Old Testament. You got to know what happened back in the day. You got to know why a certain people was dispersed. Who are these certain people? 1 Peter 1:1. Someone give me James 1:1. What is this word coming from, dispersed? I've never read the Bible before. I've only read the New Testament. I guess we're all dispersed because we all started in Africa, right? Science says we all started in Africa, so I guess we're all dispersed now. So he's talking about everybody.
Said 4:1. James 4.
James, no, 1 Peter 1:1. And then James 1:1.
Okay, James
1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 1.
If you don't know the Bible, it's easy to manipulate you. I ain't gonna tell you anything. You didn't read it. You wouldn't know. But the scriptures specifically tell you who those dispersed were. Give me that. What did Peter say?
1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Yahushua,
Peter's an apostle. Peter served Christ. Read.
to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, Bithynia.
Hold on. The strangers. So not only were we called Gentiles, we're also called strangers now. You were a stranger because you didn't know God. You were a Gentile because you didn't know God. And you weren't born in Jerusalem. That's all it was. It's not deeper than that. It's not talking about the Asian man, the Moab man. It's not talking about the white man, the Arab man. It's talking about the people that were living in those people's countries and under those people's governments and rulerships.
James 1:1.
Yeah, James 1:1.
James chapter 1 and verse 1 reads, James, a servant of the Most High, and of the Lord Yahushua.
So James, also a servant, also one of the followers of Christ. Read.
To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
The 12 tribes are what?
Which are scattered abroad.
So Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Naphtali, and Issachar are all over the world. They're all over the world, and most of them don't know back then and now that they were chosen. That they have a manual they have to follow. They have a lifestyle they have to live by. They have statutes to follow. And there's consequences for not following those statutes. So you want to look out all over the world and see who's living in the worst conditions? You'll more likely find our people. Because he's always dealt with us harder. Always. But even the apostles, the students of Christ, understood our people were scattered all over the place. Which is why they were called strangers. Which is why they were called Gentiles. But you need this foreknowledge when you're making a decision on what a doctrine or what the scripture is saying. I can't just say one word or one verse and say, okay, this is what it is. God love everybody. Christ came to save everybody. Christ came to teach the entire nations. No, you can't teach one specific people so that they can go and teach their people, get their people built up, and then at the end, teach everybody else and get everything set up in order. But in the beginning, it was teach your people, because your people are lost. Your people are broken. Why would he build the world when his chosen people don't know who they are? Don't have any clue on how to serve him. Have no relationship with him. But we're talking about building up the rest of the world. They're fine. The rest of the world is okay. The rest of the world is comfortable. The rest of the world is not sighing and crying for the abomination of the earth. We're the ones sighing and crying. We're the ones that need help. We're the ones begging for answers. This is the point. The Gentiles were us. We just didn't know any better. We had no other options. We had no other answers. Let that go. Give me Acts 11 and 19.
And even Peter, he didn't know. If you read in Acts chapter 10, he didn't know then what the Most High was trying to tell him through the vision.
Nope. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So he had to find out who these Gentiles were. And even in Galatians, Paul had a checkup, so to speak, on these matters.
Because what was happening is, if you're born the truth, it's kind of like how it is, unfortunately, now. If you're in the truth, you got the knowledge, there's a certain level of elevated pride. Knowledge puffed up, right? There's pride that I got. I've been knowing my dietary laws. I've been knowing what customs and morals I should have or should not have. So when I'm seeing someone who's of my people that doesn't live after that, the fight is, don't look at them like they're some sick, negative person or the evil person. Look at them like, you know what, they just need help. But our people at the time in Israel, it was a culture to press this predominance. We were born in Jerusalem. We were born with the law. We were born with Mosaic law. We're over you. We're better than you. And that was what Peter, that's why, honestly, why Peter wasn't sent out to be the teacher of the Gentiles. Because guess who was a Gentile, according to the Israelites back then? Paul. Paul wasn't born in Jerusalem. Paul was born in Turkey. So he would have a softer heart to those that were scattered and those that weren't born in the homeland, so to speak.
That makes sense.
But Peter was fighting, as you see in Acts 10, he was fighting opinion. He says, don't call unclean what I've called clean. That was the lesson that Christ had to come back from death and teach it. Stop looking at the nations like they're unclean, or our people that are Gentiles as unclean. Because you've also got to be an advocate for them. But this is the perspective that we have as a nation. All right? But give me that in Acts, what did I say? 11, 19? Yep.
Acts chapter 11, verse 19. Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenix and Cyprus and Antioch.
Now, mind you, these are in different countries. Because what is the next argument that someone's going to have after you teach them? Christ said, or the disciples and Paul was going to go to the Gentiles, to teach the Jews. What are they going to say? Well, that means Paul was teaching everybody anyway. That's the first statement. Well, if he's going to Cyprus, he's going to teach everybody then. They might hear the word of God too. But who was the priority? Read that.
Come. Upon the persecution that arose about Stephen, traveled as far as Phoenix and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but unto the Jews.
So what was the priority?
Preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only.
The Jews that were living in those lands. But there was a target focus. We got to find our people. I don't know how they determined it back in the day. We don't have a perfect method of determining it now. All we know is it's going to grab and attach who it's going to grab and attach to. When we're teaching, if it's in your spirit to take it, then you're going to take it. Let's prove that. Tobit 13 and 3. But we know what the intention was. Although others might hear it. For instance, if we're street speaking, although other nations might hear it, we know who the intention is for. No one's against nations reading the Bible. That's what you're going to be doing anyway. Read the Bible all you want. But we know who it's for. We know the target audience. Tobit 13 and 3.
Tobit chapter 13 and verse 3. Confess him before the Gentiles.
Says do what?
Confess him before the Gentiles.
Why is that? Read on.
Ye children of Israel.
So the children of Israel confess the Most High in front of the Gentiles. Why? Read on.
For he has scattered us among them.
Because we're scattered all through the nations. I can't pick and choose based off phenotype on who I talk to or not. But if it gravitates to you, and you know enough of your heritage and your bloodline, then we're going to ride with it. And let the Lord decide for the rest. Understood? Let that go. 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 1 through 2.
Come. First Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1 reads. Ready?
Yeah.
Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I will not have you ignorant.
This is important. Now concerning spiritual gifts, meaning what? Knowledge of who you were was a spiritual gift. Read on.
Come, verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles.
Read it again.
Ye know that ye were Gentiles.
So before we got this knowledge, we were called what?
Gentiles.
We were called Gentiles because you were staying in a Gentile state of mind. Because you had Gentile customs. Because you had Gentile belief systems. You had Gentile morals. You were a Gentile. You lacked that spiritual gift of understanding, of origin, of identity. And now we're coming back into your graces. As I said, before you were a Gentile. Now you're reading the scriptures. Now you're getting the understanding. Now you have an opportunity to reclaim what was lost. Read on.
Come, ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols.
You were carried away by these dumb idols, this dumb way of thinking, or the contrary mind frame. Jump to 13.
Come, verse 13. For by one Spirit are we all baptized unto one body.
And this is why we don't run from this verse, because you need context on this verse. You can't just read it and assume a perspective, assume a doctrine from it. Read it from the top.
Come, for by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body.
And this is why, this is the whole goal of Christ. What Christ told Paul, go to these Gentiles, so they could also get the same grace and sanctification that the others that are in Jerusalem were getting. That's what it means. But keep reading.
Whether we be Jews,
whether you are hold on, whether you be Jews, born in Jerusalem, born with the law, born with the customs, or Gentiles having no identity, no history, no background. What you got?
Said we.
Yeah. Because wait, okay. You threw me off for that. Let's say it one time.
Yes. Whether we be Jews.
Exactly. And that's the point, because that's Paul speaking. Again, Paul was who? That was Romans 11:1. He was a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin. It's we. This is my personal family. Whether my personal family, my personal bloodline, be born a Jew, born with the knowledge, born with the customs, born with the covenant, or born a Gentile, because your family's family got carried away because of their disobedience. That's what this verse means. So if someone hits you with this angle, you got to show them the context. What are you talking about? The Bible says in verse 12 that we were Gentiles, we were carried away with dumb idols. We were Gentiles because we didn't know our true heritage, our true power. There's a whole lot of history or a whole lot of information that's missing out of it. You can't just pull this one verse. But keep reading, finish it off.
Whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit.
We're all made to get the same opportunity of salvation. That's all that verse is trying to say. No matter where you started, you can end in the same place. Let that go. Give me Ephesians 2 and verse 11.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11.
One second. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 11.
And just to add a quick detail, when we're talking about Christians, they always talk about baptism by water.
Yep.
They never talk about the baptism by fire mentioned in Matthew 3 and 12. Just
Read
a quick side.
Read it.
Go ahead.
You got it. Give me an opportunity to go to the Bible. You said Matthew 3 and 12?
Come. Well, you can start at 11. You can start at 11.
Matthew chapter 3 and verse 12. Whose fan is in his hand?
Well, you can start at 11.
Verse 11, Kyle. Matthew chapter 3 and verse 11. I indeed baptize you with water unto repentance.
So we know that John the Baptist, he baptized with actual physical water, right? And this is a means and a sign displaying that you repent, right? We don't?
But he that cometh after me is mightier than I.
Who's he talking about? Talking about Christ, right? Yahushua. Read.
Whose shoes I am not worthy to bear.
Right? He said, I can't. Was that?
No.
Read on.
He shall baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire.
And with fire. And just like I said, just making the quick point, you never hear the Christians say being baptized with fire, being tried, being tested in your faith.
Yeah, and you also hear the Christians saying that the baptism is the scriptures. They don't say that either.
Yep.
They don't say that the water is the word, and you got to keep digging in that word to get clean and get clarity. They don't say that either. Which means there's a lot that they're missing, and if they're missing that much, which is the most basic principle, there's a whole lot more they're also missing.
And that's where part of the confusion as well.
Exactly. So give me back in Ephesians 2 and verse 11.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11.
Yeah, a couple more. We're going to get this in. We're going to make this a long night. 2 verse 11 through 12. And then, go from there.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh.
Again, we're about to get more clarity. Because again, it's one of those other verses that they might pull. Well, you said that you guys weren't Gentiles in the flesh. You were Israelites by blood. He's going to specify why we were considered Gentiles in the flesh. Read on.
That ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision.
Because that was the signification that you were not born in the commonwealth of Israel. You were not born with the Mosaic law. You were only a Gentile by flesh. Because remember back in the time of the Grecians, what do? We uncircumcise ourselves. And as we're in the culture of others, we kept ourselves uncircumcised. And as a way to discriminate the Gentile, or the Israelites that didn't know they're Israelites, we call them uncircumcised. Just like now, Israel calls Israelites who don't know they're Israelites what? There it is. You're Jake. You know Israelite, you're Jake. He's a Jake brother. He don't know no better. Same difference. If you weren't born in Jerusalem, you one of them uncircumcisions. You're a Gentile. You're a nation. Read on.
Who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh, made by hand.
Exactly. Read on.
That at that time ye were without Christ.
But you were without Christ, which is why you were labeled as uncircumcised. You had no knowledge. You were living according to your own laws, or the society's laws, the society's morals, society's way of thinking. Read on.
Ye were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel.
Because you were missing out on the benefits of being an Israelite and knowing what it meant to be an Israelite. You were missing out on the benefits of an Israelite household, an Israelite family that stays together, that grows together, that develops together. You were missing out on the benefits of having stable protection from the Most High, where you don't have to worry about fear from enemies, fear from people trying to hurt you and harm you. Because all those benefits will happen because you stayed in order, and your household stayed in order, and your country stayed in order. You were without that commonwealth. You had to be out there with them wolves and them dogs and fight and scrap for yourself. That's why you come back beaten and bruised. That's why you come back with pride. That's why you come back with not trusting anybody. Because the world makes you like that. The world starts morphing your psyche, morphing your perspective. Now that you're coming out of the world, now that you're coming out of that alien mentality, you are now coming back into the Commonwealth of Israel, which is that stability that you never had. Read on.
Being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without the Most High in the world.
Because remember, one of the things we lost as a curse for not being or not knowing who we were was we would have no hope, no direction, no desire. We would doubt the course of our own life. What is my purpose? I know there's got to be something bigger for me. I know I'm supposed to be doing more for myself. Just making money and buying trinkets isn't doing anything for me. I always talk about it. All that does is you get to live in a bigger box and you get to drive a better box. It still breaks down. You still gotta pay buku money. You're still in a rat race. And at the end of the day, it's just a box. End of the day, it gets old anyway. End of the day, in 20 years, in 10 years, in 5 years, you want another box. So what it shows is that's not fulfilling. Something else is missing out of the equation that society pictured as the American dream. Keep reading. You finished all that in 12, right? Give me verse 2 and 3.
Verse 2. Wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air.
Because all you knew was what propaganda told you to do. All you knew was what society told you to do. Why do you think our people are so lost now? All we know is what celebrities tell us what to do. All we know is what our favorite rapper tells us what to do.
Influences.
Our influencers tell what to do. That's all we know, which is, it goes back to the power of the prince of the air. The power of the prince of the air is about mind control. It's about influence. Can I control your perspective? Can I create your perspective? There's a lot of kids getting developed off of perspective based off of television. Off of perspective based off of so now it's Twitch. That's the new one now. Twitch. I'm just gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch this person's life for 30 days straight because he never turns his camera off, and he just does folly for 30 days straight. And I'm become my persona is gonna be based off of this person. That's my role model now. And whatever he does, I'm gonna imitate. Or whatever I see on TV, I'm gonna imitate. Because we don't have a system of support to teach and develop us if you're out in the world. Read on.
The spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
And what do you become? More disobedient, more hardened, more rebellious, so it becomes harder for you to make a change. Read on.
Among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind.
Because when I have no purpose, when I have no motivation, what am I going to be naturally inclined to do? I'm going to go back to my beast state of mind, which is fulfill my flesh, and whatever that is. Whatever your fancy is, that's what you're going to do. Whatever you think is right in your eyes, whatever you think is what you want to take right then and there, that's what you're going to give yourself to. And that's the only course that's left for you.
People say, well, I'm only human. You're really a beast.
You're a beast because you're ignorant. You're a beast because you don't have a direction. Beast direction is just eat, procreate, defecate, and sleep. You see that? That was a scholastic word there. I had to keep it PG. Keep it PG all day. But that's the point. I'm a beast because I have no direction except for my most natural inclinations anyway. There's nothing else going for me. And I have no desire to do anything else anyway. Read on.
And were by nature the children of wrath, even as others.
You're children of wrath because everything you're doing is angering the Most High further and further and further. Let that go. Colossians 1:21.
Come.
Colossians 1:21. Are we getting a better picture of what this Gentile is that we keep seeing in the scriptures? Or am I just talking hot air right now? Okay. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Sometimes you need some affirmation now.
Little reassurance.
Little reassurance. I'm not just talking hot air in the podium. You got that.
Colossians chapter 1 and verse 21 reads, and you that were sometime alienated and enemies in your mind.
Because without Christ, we were alienated, we were strangers, and we were enemies. Read.
In your mind by wicked works. Yet now have he reconciled.
By your sacrifice, by your reading, and by your newfound dedication. That's how you reconcile. It's not always bad news. It's not always hopeless. If you take the proper steps to rehabilitate, you will be found in good grace with the Most High. That is a fact. That's a guarantee. And that's what the whole class is going back in circles to. We all started as Gentiles. I don't care if you're a first, second, or third generation Israelite. We got many Gentile ways. We're all born in a wicked, evil world. When you go to school, you're back as a Gentile again. You're going to do what the Gentiles are doing. You're going to talk like the Gentiles are talking. You're going to roll like the Gentiles are talking. unless you're one of them really dope, disciplined Israelites, and I wish I was, but I wasn't. So I made mistakes. But most people make mistakes because it's all around you. It's always going to be around you. But whenever you wake up, whenever you dedicate, what do you do at that time? That's what he's looking at. Let that go. Give me Acts 2 and 5. And then we won't finish this in 2 hours at last.
Acts chapter 2, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews.
Hold on one second. Acts 2 and 5. All right, read it again.
Acts chapter 2, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews.
Yep.
Devout men, out of every nation under heaven.
So for this Pentecost, all the followers and believers of the Most High came together. All the men came together. Whether you're born in Egypt, whether you're born in Turkey, whether you're born in Iraq, whether you're born in Afghanistan, whether you're born in Asia Minor, whether you're born in Russia, whether you're born in some far place in Europe, they all came together to celebrate the Lord together. Which also means, further proof, we've been scattered. We were not just in Israel at that time. We were not just in America now. We're all over the place. We have to keep that in conscience. Whenever we come across somebody, that might be another child of God. And they're watching my every action. They're watching to see what does it mean to be an Israelite. Is it just how I talk? Is it just what I know? Or is it a lifestyle change? Is it a mentality change? Because before they get to the truth, they are alienated. They're enemies. They're contrary. But if you have similar traits, similar mentalities as them, why make a change? Why make a sacrifice? You're doing the same thing I'm doing. You're thinking the same way I'm thinking. You're reacting to problems the same way I'm reacting to problems. We're both Gentiles then. We're both lost. So what you're reading is telling me I'm supposed to act and respond and roll a certain way, and you're not doing it. Then what are you trying to have me do? This was the problem that the Pharisees, Christ had with the Pharisees. They'll talk a great game on what these I should do, and they didn't live it themselves, which made it harder for the people to make the change, to make the jump, to make the conversion. Let that go. Give me yeah. I know. Wait. Oh yeah. No. Yeah, I got hit up. Isaiah 54 and verse 7 through 8. Always do that at the end.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it was. I gotta read.
I thought it was the letters thing. The letters, all the multiple letters.
Oh, no. Oh, shoot. Brothers said worse. They said way worse. All right, read that. Isaiah 54 and verse 7.
God. Isaiah chapter 54 verse 7. For a small moment have I forsaken.
For a small moment, for a couple of years, I forsook you as a people. For a couple of generations, I forsook you as a nation. But, read.
It says, but with great mercies will I gather you.
With great mercy, because he knows how hard it is to come out of that alienated state of mind. That contrary state of mind. With great mercies, I'm going to gather you again. I'm going to get you back together. Read on.
In a little wrath, I hid my face from thee for a moment.
He's not going to act like he wasn't upset. That we didn't offend him first. That we didn't go against him first after he promised us all these benefits. But he said it was only for a moment. Read.
But with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Most High, thy Redeemer.
Let me see if I got this real quick. Let's see if I can go here. Ecclesiastes 17. I want to see what that looks like real quick. Give me Ecclesiasticus chapter 17 and verse 25.
Come.
Just a quick add-on to what it means to now be a part of that mercy and what we have to do to attain and keep the mercy. Read on.
Come. Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, verse 25 reads.
Because we're not going to be perfect. We're not going to be without mistakes, without sin, without failures. But he's looking for a particular result that comes with the effort you put in before you made the mistakes. And how often are you making these mistakes? Read that.
Page 80. Return unto the Lord and forsake thy sin.
You need to return to the Lord and forsake the old you. Forsake the old perspective, the old mentality, the old ways, the old actions, the old thought process. Read on.
Come and forsake thy sin.
Meaning you have to hate that side of you. You have to have a disdain for the person you were before you got the knowledge. Your perspective on life, your opinions on people, your opinions on your brothers or sisters. You have to disdain that side of you if you want to get this mercy and make a substantial change in your life. Read on.
Make thy prayer before his face.
And make your prayer, meaning you have to constantly be seeking the face of the Most High and ask him to change your heart. While in the process of you actively doing what you have to do, studying, counseling, confessing, praying to the Most High so we can change your negative perspective. Read on.
And offend less.
And offend what?
Less.
So offend more?
Less.
The Most High wants to offend less. That's how he sees we're making changes. If I had a problem when I have an argument with a brother or a sister, and I immediately get violent, the next time I'm in an argument, can I not be as violent? Can I be violent at all? Can I not have to resort to the highest octave that I have? Can I have a more pacified voice? Can I have a more patient perspective? If I have a habit of being lazy or slothful, can I choose to be more on top of my life, on top of my structure than before? Or do I keep falling on my face, keep watching everything else fall apart because I'm just that slothful and lazy? Whatever deficiency that you have in your life, what are you constantly doing to chip away and make it better so you're offending less in front of the face of the Most High? That's what he's judging, and that's how you get your mercies and your forgiveness. Let that go. Last verse. Give me Jeremiah 23 and verse 3 through 7, and then jump to 7.
Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 3.
1 second. Jeremiah 23 and verse 3. All right, give me that.
Jeremiah chapter 23 verse 3. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries, whither I have driven them.
And this is the conclusion. Yes, we're scattered. Yes, we're all over the place. But eventually, we're going to be all brought together again. All be united as one tribe, one nation. Read.
And will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase.
I'm going to bring you to your own lands, your own properties, your own lifestyles, and you'll be fruitful and increase. Meaning there's light at the end of the tunnel. For all those that take this serious, all those that offend less and make substantial changes in your life, you'll be part of that fold. Read on.
Verse 7.
Oh, no. Yeah, 7, yeah.
Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that they shall no more say, the Most High liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
And the story will change from our motivation and our history of being how we got brought out and saved from captivity in Egypt to how we got brought out of the evil countries and the perverse mentalities of the world of today. That's how the story's going to change. Read.
Verse 8. But the Most High liveth, was brought up, and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
At the end of the day, we'll get back our sovereignty, our protection, and the original benefits that we had if we had kept the original covenant. Does that make sense? Any questions, comments, or concerns? Yes. It is a basic class, yes, sir.
Fundamental.
Yeah, it'll be on the basic breakdowns. It is the Gentiles B class. You need both parts. But that's the basic. Throughout Israel for watching online. Throughout Israel for coming to class. We will have class again on Friday, and I'll see you then. Shalom.
Shalom.